We are live.
Okay, yeah. Welcome to round 2 of the SpaceChem tournament. This is the second puzzle, called Spring Year 1. The puzzle was to turn these COLI seeds plus some fertilizer into the CALI2 cauliflowers, and to split the cauliflowers over both omega and psi outputs. But there is this kind of weird shaped wall that you have to get around, and that was the main idea behind the puzzle. The reason for the strange element choices was to make the nuclear math not trivial, but not too bad either. And we'll see how people approach it when we see the solutions.
Yeah, in a previous version of the puzzle, the nuclear masses used to be too nice, and that made it possible to build everything out of this. You can imagine this lithium. And while you can still do this, it's not going to be fast because cobalt is so much bigger than lithium. They used to be oxygen and hydrogen, if I recall correctly, and it was just too easy to just stagger together stuff like this and output water and make everything work out way too fast. This is not really cheesable. Like, we see some solution that try to use a lot of this, but they are not fast. They are not super slow either. There are some decent algorithms, but the top solutions need to use the seed.
Yeah, so that was an intentional part of the design, that I wanted you to be able to alpha only if you wanted to, and I wanted it to be not terrible, but then I also wanted using the seed to be easily the winner's choice, and it was.
Yeah, definitely. And so we are here on my machine while Giorgio is commentating and I'm clicking around. So first we have these gigs with this thing. Now I hope, Giorgio, you're ready to commentate, because I find this solution extremely hard to read. Like extremely hard to read.
This one is quite cluttered.
And you know, this is the worst thing of them all. Okay, now I feel better. Please go on.
Yeah, Zig came to me and said that this was a speed solve, so solve just to do the puzzle rather than specifically optimizing it. So if you start playing it, you'll see that Zig's has this very quick fusion loop, or this very quick nuclear math loop.
Yeah.
And to do that, the algorithm they choose is what many people do. If you take seed, which is 27 plus 3, makes 30. 2 of those make 60. And with 60, you can get 3 CAs out, which are 20 each. And that's what Gigs decides to do. And the way they do that is by splitting the 27 into a 13 and a 14, then adding 2 lithium.
Give me a moment, we'll see this when it starts back. It's not fast. Okay, here it is.
Okay, so we split the 27, which is cobalt, into 14 and a 13. Then the 13 is set aside. We fuse 2 lithiums into the 14 to make one of the 20s for the output, and then 213 you can add another 27 to make 60, and then you have 3 lithiums which come both from the fertilizer input and the lithium on the seed input.
Okay.
Which is, yeah, so this method they've got is very fast, and I suspect it's what they made first. They came up with this neat fusion way, made it, and then kind of stuck the whole construction on the edge.
Yeah, there is also some issues with how blue needs to return back, and retouch these flip-flops again. This, yeah, kind of a sign of a rushed solution. Like you got it working and then went home.
Yes, I think that's what happened here. Blue has to do a huge flip-flop dance after it's finished its one complete loop, and one complete loop would be
Yeah, here blue is done. You would like it to just come back, and then it does this. It is what it is. I mean, it's better than my solution that doesn't even exist.
This puzzle, as you can see, is already done making the psi output, yet it's only done 10% of the omega. The ratios of this are 5:1 omega to psi. The reason I chose those is that they fit nicely with a lot of the nuclear piles that, at least when I was testing, I saw. A lot of the ways I found out come to a 5:1 split naturally, or they come to a 2:1 split. The 2:1 split is very easy to turn into a 5:1 just by putting a flip-flop on the path that goes once rather than one that goes twice. Geeks has a 2:1 that's come out, yet they put the two all into the psi output, which makes this a lot slower than it could have been.
Yeah, but where would you even put more flip-flops? Like, it's full.
Yeah, it's already full, just to do the resetting logic.
Yeah, let's go to the next solution, and let's maybe talk a bit. This just clocks under 10,000 cycles. I mean, we may want to remind the crowd that this is a cycles puzzle, and the metric is flat out cycles plus a tiny little bit of symbols for tie breaking. Not that there is any need of tie breaking. Every submitter has a different cycle score. Speaking to how complex this puzzle is, because you have 17 people, none of them have even remotely the same score. There are differences of at least 10 between each competitor. And what the heck does this do?
Yeah, this one is probably one of the more complex, harder to explain, with quite tricky fusion path.
So
what they just
we have a 30 around here. Oh my god!
Yeah.
We bring a 4 over.
Just take me a second to reread my notes on this one.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I was busy stealing leaderboard records and didn't check the solutions this weekend.
This one, I think what this is essentially doing is it's making it's turning 27 into getting a 20 out of it plus a 4. 27 is taking 27, is getting 20, a 3 and a 4 out, and that makes one of the cauliflowers, and the other one gives, and then that leaves you that 4 left over can be then fused up 5 times into another CA, which can be combined with 2 allies to make an output. And
this arrangement is something that you usually see in symbol solutions when you need to do alchemy. The split on the right, the fuse on the left, to do the loop around. And this is because the solution does a shit ton of fusion math. My god. Yeah, this is extremely complicated. And
this way of getting out is quite nice in that it gives you the 5:1 output straight out, so you don't need to do any logic about it. But the way the fusion math they've chosen is quite inefficient. They first fuse the 3 into the 27, and then they have to split out that 3 again. They do the same with a BE. They fuse a BE in, which they then need to get out again.
yeah,
There are much more efficient ways of essentially doing the same thing. They've chosen a symbol slide, as I said, where you kind of split out on the right and fuse in on the left.
yeah, and just another thing to mention, this would be much easier if you could do garbage ball, but someone didn't want people to do garbage balls.
Garbage balls are bad. I don't like them.
Yes, that's perfectly fair. I mean, there are things I hate, and garbage balls rank pretty low on that hierarchy. And so this needs to run forever. And running forever means that your fusion math needs to be exact. Like, thankfully this is not too terrible, because as we've already said, two of these are 3 calciums, and then there is lithium everywhere, so it's not too terrible to get things to work. But there are a class of solution, let's say you waste a lithium every time, you cannot do that. Not that it would be easy, because with 60 outputs required, even garbage balling is some kind of hard. But yeah, this puzzle combines the worst elements of SpaceChem. Like, how can you do this? And but congratulations to anyone who solved this. Congratulations to Alson Edson for getting below 5,000. Like, you can see, we are at the beginning, so scores get down fast, and you can already tell what Weaver 341 has. And what does this do? Like, this is one of the solutions I know what this does. This is one of the solutions I mentioned. This is pure lithium. Now, this is easy enough that even I can understand it. This fuses lithium and makes calcium. The issue is that lithium doesn't fuse cleanly to calcium, because this is 3 and 3 does not divide 20, as you guys may know. So you need to deal with the rest. Thankfully it's not too terrible, because let's see how it deals with the rest. Like, he fuses a good bunch, and then he splits out these, he has argons, and he is left with a lithium and then an hydrogen. And so you have this hydrogen, and you need to take out another helium, and then you have a final helium, and then you can put it back. You have a 3 cycle, because of course 20 and 3 are coprime. So you got to deal with the number of cycles of the least number, which is 3, the atomic mass of the lithium. Like, this is pretty simple to understand. This does the 5:1 ratio, and this counts fusions.
So it's 3 Li2s make 3 times 6, 18, and then they take another Li2, which they split into 3 heliums, which can fuse into each of those 3 18s to make 3 20s. You could also do the way I envision people doing a alpha-only approach would be to split a beryllium out of 4 Li2s, and then fuse all the berylliums together to make a Ca and get 5:1 naturally.
That works. Well, that's might be nice, but then you have this permanent garbage ball you need to deal with. Yeah, it might be fast.
No. Well, you have a permanent beryllium ball.
Yeah.
It's but it's used. It's not garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I call it garbage ball because your process need to treat it as a garbage ball, because you do 5 iterations. That's just garbage, and then the 6th iteration you pick it up and do magic with it. But your process thinks it's a garbage ball essentially.
Yeah, and this class solution is one where the barrier really matters, even though you're not crossing over it, because it gives you such little space in this top left corner to do all your nuclear math.
Yeah, he can fit everything, but of course its chain of flip-flops gets deformed, and so the solution is lower than it could be. Like, this count is very, very far from there, but you have no more space. Yeah, this is kind of evil. Have I already told you what I think about this puzzle? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And well, so I wanted to talk about the ways to bring atoms on the other side of the barrier, but this is not a good solution to talk about that. And is this the only input alpha only solution, or do we have another?
There is one more.
Okay, so we can talk about that later. 3000 cycles. Next up, counterpoint. And this looks more standard. Okay, kind of. Zirconium, get used to see this. This is zirconium, 2 calciums.
Yeah.
Brings over a calcium, brings over alpha calcium. Why?
I believe this is a neon catalyst solution, which there's only one mole of. It wasn't a very popular approach. you make a neon catalyst, you fuse 30 into it, then you have 40, you could split 20 out, and split another 10 out of the one of the 20s you get,
Okay, I
and
see.
then combine 2 of those split out neons to make another 20.
Yeah, what obstaculates this catalyst? There are better catalysts, we'll see them later. The annoying point about this is it's not really a catalyst because it generates a calcium, but then it generates a neon, and you need another turnaround to fix this. Like, this would be a good catalyst if you needed neon up here, but you need calcium, so you have this extra rejiggering here that annoys you. From what I just said, you can deduce what the better catalyst is, but we'll see it shortly. In any case,
requires that for every 3 outputs you have to go and make the catalyst twice. Better catalyst will do it in less.
yeah, exactly. It carries too little. That's the issue. And it carries too little not because it carries too little in some essential way, but it's because you need calcium and not neon. If you needed neon, this would be a good catalyst because you bring over this, split it in 2, get you neons, and then get another neon. This list approaches some cleanliness of the solution. Like,
This looks more like the better solutions than what we've seen previously. Or since this is the first solution that looks like the best solutions, I'll mention something, and that's going back to get the fertilizer output is quite a difficult task because of the shape of the walls. You can't just bring it down onto the beta input, you have to loop around the walls. And that's quite a problem for all these solutions that require 3 lithium outputs per 3 fertilizer inputs per 3 outputs, because you have to get quite a lot of the inputs. And to be competitive, you have to have both Bordeaux doing that. And Counterpoint doesn't. They only have one Bordeaux going over here to get the fertilizer input, which takes a very long time to loop around.
I see. I mean, this is kind of covered because Reds do wastes sometimes on neon,
Yeah.
but this is, as you say, this is kind of easily fixable. What is not easily fixable is this blue time of. And I didn't mention how this achieves the split because it doesn't. Like,
It does.
as you can see,
No.
the split is here.
Yeah, this solution class kind of naturally leads to a 2-to-1 split, which I've already said is quite easy to turn into a 5-to-1. However, for simplicity, I guess, Counterpoint merges all the paths together, so it ends up everything coming out along the same line, which means you would need a 6-count flip-flop to do the splitting, which is quite hard, and Counterpoint chose not to do it.
I mean, just solving this is impressive. Like, you talk about not good solution, I'm still impressed by stuff like this. So I want to say it again, everyone who actually submitted the solve is way ahead of a curve. But this is hard. Like, you ramped up the difficulty considerably. 2005. Next up, Yellow Bunny. Okay, I see flip-flops.
Ignore all the flip-flops at the bottom in blue. I'll explain what those are later.
I feel better. I feel a lot better. And
Yellow Bunny brought this upon themselves. Ignore those flip-flops. Just focus mainly on the top half of blue and red.
Yes, I feel better. You know how I feel about flip-flops and this. Okay, this is input alpha only. So
yeah, this is input alpha only. It does it slightly differently. It fuses 7 lithiums to make 21, a scandium. And then with that, it breaks it into a 10 and an 11. To the 11, it can then attach 2 more lithiums.
Scandium, neon, sodium, okay.
To make 20.
Calcium. Okay, so, I see.
Yeah, so it keeps it there. It keeps the 11 on the fuser, fuses up to 20.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
And
yeah, this is naturally a 2 cycle, which is simpler than Weaver solution with that the naturally 3 cycle. because this has neon. Then you come back and get the second neon and place nicely. This is clearly a 2 to 1. I'm not sure how he achieves 5 to 1.
It's closer to a 1-1-1 than in how it works than a 2 to 1, in that everything kind of comes out slightly differently, and that's what Red's got a 4 count flip flop at the bottom to do.
Let's see it in action.
What the time means. So that's the time blue goes the extra loop round, because blue's counting to 2 while red's counting to 3. So for every
okay.
Red goes down twice for every time blue goes down once, I think.
This is complicated. Okay.
Yeah, this is one of the more complicated logics.
And now, what are these for?
Yeah, those are for just the last output.
No, fucking god, no! Don't tell me this. This is special case to output that 1 cycle earlier.
1 cycle earlier, and it's a 60 count flip flop followed by all those flip flops in the bottom right are a timing loop to make sure that blue completes.
Wait, let's see the timing loop.
No, it will finish before you get to it.
Right. And what happens after it finishes?
What happens after it finishes? Red has no input commands on its path, so red can just go around doing all its output.
Oh god, and this is as long as red full flip-flop cycle.
As red takes to do 4 times around the loop.
How much does this save? 1 cycle? I applaud the insanity.
I did attach in the Discord a version of this solution that doesn't do the timing loop and still saves the cycle, but it's too much change from this version to do it on stream.
Okay.
There was a small change from what they previously submitted. You just shuffle around the location of the different commands on the blue fusion loop.
Oh sure, let me just shuffle around some of these commands. I'm sure I get something that works.
And it works, trust.
Yeah, I trust you, I'm not gonna try that. But like public service announcement, no one has ever won around because he has done last output tricks. Like, people are getting the plays, no one has ever won around by doing this. Like, it's impressive, but guys, don't make this your primary focus in a solution.
I think I talked to Yellow Bunny messaged me about it. I think it was a kind of like second last day add-on to the lol. It wasn't.
It's still like, I'm impressed, I'm impressed. Let's go on to reasons. Default solution. Copy. Man, you're boring. Load. What does this do? So splits fuses and gets a calcium, okay, because it gave up a 13. And then he has this thing. What the heck is he doing? Why? Okay, I understand this. I do not understand.
Yeah, so it takes 2 of those 13s and turns it into, well, you get nuclear, you get 26, so if you split
okay.
the amount of both of them, you get.
Okay, I get it. This does the right amount of running around that it gets a carbon and, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so it splits a 10 out of both the 13 and the 3 out of it, and then uses that to make the output.
Yeah, okay, I get it. And this is naturally a 2 to 1, and this does the 5 to 1 thing. This flip flop right here. Okay.
So it's quite similar to Giggs's nuclear math, but a slightly less efficient version of that. Giggs fuses the 13s into a new 27 to make.
Yeah, this is complex math, but the loop is very tight, so this scores a lot better.
Yeah, it's kind of like a simplicity approach rather than a fast approach, because you need to do a lot of fusing and splitting, and do that loop a few times, which takes more time than Giggs, for example, did. But still not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Let's say that. So let's see, we get below 2000 at 1864. Like I wanted to say yesterday, say that 2 is not a good first digit, but you know, I leave the tournament mood setting to you.
Yeah, I feel like when everyone's concentrated on the ones, then it's hard to do digits.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say 2 was not a good digit, and you can tell that we are into a 1. Now, of course, the results are out, but suspense about if there is something better than 1. Now, what's this? Oh, this is Chicxulub, I think, solution.
Chicxulub, I looked up the pronunciation.
Oh, thank you. Zirconium pants. Oh, at least someone has a name. What are we doing here? We are making xenon!
No. Which I don't think anyone else does, so...
Yes, there is another solution of the xenon. But it's you kind of not see it because it's a Mac product. There is xenon at some point. And xenon is 2 cobalts. Okay.
So this is using the well-known method of getting stuff past the barriers, make a catalyst of the thing that you want to get past. If just the thing you want to get past into it, and just split over the barrier. You can also do that +1, that -1 if you're fusing rather than splitting as well.
So let's talk about this. The efficient catalyst, if you want to bring X over the wall, is to fuse 2 X's together and then split so an X gets over the wall. In this case, you want cobalt over the wall. There are other things you may want over the wall. Cobalt is a fine choice, and so you make xenon. And this cleanly splits out the cobalt. Of course, cobalt is not the end of the story, because you make zirconium and get calcium out. And I assume the 5-to-1 is done by this thing right here, right?
Yeah, I think it is. It's just on the flip-flop.
Okay, so this looks reasonable. You know, if you had to choose, doing xenon is bad because xenon is a noble gas, and so it forces you to have 2 Waldos bunkering around. Another thing I wanted to mention: it is legal to bond across the quantum wall lines. Like, look at this. Right here, you can bond across the lines, and because in this particular level the output zone is across the wall, this works. In normal levels you can bond, but you usually can't output. Here you can legitimately bond across, and it's the efficient thing to do here. So just know that you can do this, and it's usually useless, barring some exploits I won't mention here, and but in this case it's a tactic that works, and it's fine.
I was hoping more people would do it than did, really. My solution does this.
Yeah, I guess you know, if you do this, you need to handle this part and then this part separately, when it's more convenient to just have the 2 lithium in one place and do a sandwich with a calcium. So I can see why I wouldn't go either for this kind of approach. Like, my idea would be to build everything up here and then have these lithium calcium sandwiches be deployed here or be dropped here. But yeah, this works, and we see a better catalyst.
Yeah, one other criticism, well, not, it's good solution. But the one other thing to say about the solution is that I don't think that the use of the resources of the bond fuser is that efficient in making a catalyst, because you've used the whole fuser and the whole splitter just to handle your catalyst.
I
and
see.
it's not doing anything else, and it's making so that it's not doing any work in getting towards the output. Like later solutions will have a catalyst that's an intermediate. This just has the input as the catalyst.
Yeah,
which means
we'll see that later.
that it's probably more efficient to do your nuclear math over the wall rather than putting a catalyst through. In this case, if you're going to go via this path.
If you had to split this, but this is so high level that gets lost in the implementation details, you want to do math here and then assembling here, but it's just just saying it like this is too generic. This stuff is very, very complicated. Darius 1. Oh, I see delays. It's a lot of delays. What are we doing? We are fusing into arsenic. And then we are loop splitting, fuses into rubidium. Okay. Oh, and we've got, yeah, because if this is 40, this is an output. So we do this splitting dance. Okay, until we. Oh, okay. Now I recognize the idea. So it's time that we talk about scandium. Even here it's used sparingly, but we'll see it much more later.
Scandium turns out to be a very convenient catalyst to fuse S21, which means you can split a 20 out of it, and it's normal, and it turns out it's easier to make than 20 from the inputs generally.
Yeah. Now here you don't really see a scandium catalyst because it's well hidden, because you fuse a bunch of small stuff into it a bunch of times, but this is 41, and so you split it, get scandium, and this nets you a calcium.
This is the split beryllium and the lithium out of the cobalt, the type solution we've seen before, but just with a catalyst.
Yeah. So this here is something we've seen before with a more cycles approach. This is more typical of cycles than the arrangement we have seen before, with this here closer and on different rows. And other than that, the efficient part is how this is handled, because this scandium catalyst makes everything very fast. The thing is that here most of the work is done by the fuse split loop and not by the catalyst. And this is something that will be improved by higher level solutions. So let's go on. 1007. Mustang, broccoli. Did anyone try your recipe? Like, I know the description of this puzzle was a recipe. How do you say it in English?
Cauliflower?
No, recipe. Okay. The description of your puzzle was a recipe. It's something you have actually tried, or you just lifted something from it?
I just put what I was having for dinner that night.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good recipe. I'd recommend it. It feels fancy, but it's fairly easy to do.
Noted. So what we are doing here, we split out aluminium, and with everything else we get the calcium. But then okay, we do it again, and these are two outputs. It's just a little bit complex to assemble because we just have a bonder pair, because we are doing magic down here clearly at some point. With two aluminiums, okay, and two aluminiums are 26, which is an output. Okay, get it.
Quite similar to Resumes, except they split the two lithiums out of the same aluminium rather than out of the two different aluminiums.
Yeah, this is
faster, but complicates the logic a little bit.
Yeah, this is much less fusion fission dense. It's just true. And of course, this is extremely crowded.
Yeah.
And how is the 6 handled? It is this one. Yeah, I think so.
It's a 2-to-1, just a single flip-flop.
Yep. Because this will go down most often and just leave it up rarely. Yeah, got it. This calcium sensor does what? This calcium sensor, okay, sees that we have one stored, so it's time to grab lithium and go pick stuff up. Clear. Okay, this is complicated, but they are getting somewhat understandable. We see no use of the catalyst here, really, because we have destroyed fusion to calcium, and I cannot really characterize why this approach is not as efficient as that's. I think it's Valdo travel, in all honesty, because you see the world running around without molecules for a good amount of time.
This puzzle is all about Waldo travel, really. The better solutions will find ways.
I mean, this puzzle is about 15 things, and only after you get a good solution you can think about Waldo travel.
It's what separates the good solutions. How much they manage to keep the Waldo going, or keep maths moving across.
Yes, that's the way to look at it. 1600s. Next up. Oh yeah, we entered the top 10. I guess didn't mention that because Mustang was 9th. So Darius 1 was actually the first of the top 10. And then we have a team, Norris Pajam, which says silly rotate.
Yeah, and MS Tang also at number 9, so congrats on the top 10 dice on MS Tang.
So let's see, we split out an aluminium. We have seen this before. Okay, not really, because, oh god. So we split out an aluminium, but actually we just want to get out the lithium, because, no sorry, not the lithium, a beryllium, because our objective is to do an output at the bottom, and then we have this thing with its central atom growing, right?
Yeah.
Which is something we have seen already with this, let me call it garbage ball, even if it's not that. The smart thing here, it's pre-bonded, and so it's easier to handle, I imagine.
Yeah, it's the splitter lithium and the beryllium out of cobalt approach again, but it has quite a clever way of doing its garbage ball, in that it has to, because it's only got a fuser, it can't split across like the other solutions we've seen do. It has to fuse into a lithium, and adding to a lithium won't get you to your output, so it fuses into the lithium and then it splits out of that again to.
Oh yeah, right. So you can get the lithium cleanly.
Yeah.
Get it. Yeah. So this is what we were talking about, like keeping the map moving. This is less travel. It's just that it's bringing pieces around, not super efficiently, because the algorithm itself is, I don't want to say slow, but you bring from one thing over at a time.
What struck me about the solution is that blue's doing a lot of work at the bottom, and red is just traveling, not doing much for a lot of the time, and it doesn't need to go up to the top left a lot. That's the advantage of the beryllium out thing. You only need one fertilizer for every 6 outputs, which means you can keep red in the bottom left, assisting with blue, and then have a pause where you go and make the 6 out of the 1 out of the 6 to 1. But this doesn't do that. It goes all the way up to the top left on every go, which doesn't do much.
It's right.
What is the purpose of that blue rotate in the upper right corner?
So this was entitled silly rotate, so I guess we should find the silly one.
Rotate, I guess.
And I guess this one is the silly one, I guess, because this one is clearly needed, and this one is also clearly needed. So just a moment that we get calcium. and we look at that. I assume it's timing.
Well, probably to time with the red rotate at the top, because they both hit that on the same go round.
Yeah, this is not really needed, but it puts blue 1 cycle slower, and because there are no sinks anywhere, that's clearly timing.
Yeah, you time with that red rotate you just hit there, which only happens on the 6th output.
Yeah,
Does
right.
it do that rotate every time?
No,
Huh?
because it's not holding something. That's what I was just talking about, in that it goes up here without holding stuff a lot of the time.
Just passed over. Yeah, this definitely. And to time it right, like, you could do much complex things with sinks, but this is so busy that I imagine that syncing this probably doesn't work, and so you do this, which is as faster and is less symbols.
Yeah, if red's that slow anyway, delaying blue doesn't hurt you at all.
Yeah, exactly. And delaying it this way is very clean and elegant. If you could not do this because you weren't holding a molecule or whatever, doing it with sinks is more of a mess in something this complicated.
If
Let's
you
go.
can rotate stall, it's generally a good idea. It's generally the easiest one.
Yeah, and this, as everyone knows at this point in this game, it's hard to delay your Waldo by an odd amount of cycles. And an even amount it's easy, an odd amount is hard, and so you need to get creative whenever you need to delay it by an odd amount of cycles. Of course, it's all come down to delaying it 1 cycle, because even is easy, so it's just that one. And that one you do it by wall stalling, by rotating, whatever helps you. In this case, there is an elegant rotation. Foxadecimal, outgrowth. Okay, there are symbols here. So, here we see some kind of heavy pass-through, a splitter and a fuser. We split out the aluminium over. Okay, pack it back and get one of it. And then
It's neon.
yeah, sorry.
It's the split neon out approach, and then take 2 neons to make a calcium that's slightly obscured, I believe.
So cobalt, aluminium. Okay, and here we have neon with residuals. Where did the neon go? We have this calcium and we bring it over. Okay, and then we have this that handles the 6 ratio. So, and this I get. Then this neon
And that neon is
gets into this
and then
aluminium. Okay, which goes around into the aluminium circuit. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So quite a smooth way of doing that.
Yeah. Indeed, this looks moving all the time. And in fact, it scores pretty well.
Yeah, this is pretty efficient solve. This is looking like a good solve. The one thing maybe is that red doesn't go off to get any lithium or fertilizer input.
So what you were saying about travel time here being a bottleneck after a while.
Yes.
I see. 1500. Like the jumps are getting smaller, but are still consistent about a few dozens every time. Spiritual Shampoo, Scandium Catalyst Finale. Because Spiritual Shampoo had a bunch of solutions named Scandium Catalyst this, Scandium Catalyst that, Scandium Catalyst, and this is the last one. And wouldn't you get it, this is gonna use a Scandium Catalyst. So here we're just making Scandium Catalyst. We'll never go up here again, with blue at least. This is argon, and wouldn't you know it? Platinum, thallium, I guess this is, okay, niobium and scandium.
This is it makes the catalyst from 7 27 lithiums, which is 6 from alpha and then 1 from beta, which means you use the first one to make you use the first.
Yeah, it's on an odd cycle.
Yeah, and then you leave it behind up one to be.
Yeah. So this is a scandium catalyst solution, and because you want to bring over calcium, this is a good catalyst. And if it's it twice, this is also kind of common for what you want to do. So you split it once, get 2 calciums, split it another time, get 1 calcium.
Yeah, this is a really powerful approach that we'll be seeing more of, and that's because you can get 2 outputs across or 2 seeds across the barrier at once, rather than other catalyst approaches, say for example the neon catalyst or the cobalt catalyst we saw before, where you only get 1 input across.
Yeah. In general, so making a catalyst of the same weight of your final product, or 1 more or 1 less, it depends how your math works, it's usually the best. And you can either fill it once and say you have niobium to bring around, or you can fill it twice, like this solution does, and you have thallium, which is morally 4 times calcium. I say morally because you need to recover the catalyst, and it's fine if you have 1 extra atomic mass here. Yeah, this is very, very efficient. And how does it do a split? Okay, we have just seen it.
Yeah, just a 2 to 1 again.
Yeah, because blue handles the bottom and red handles the top, and so blue has time to do flip-flop counting.
Is that output in the bottom left out or bottom right of blue that does it? So it avoids it once and hits it the other time.
So this we are getting to the strong approaches.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the one thing about this one, again, it uses only red to grab the seed input.
Yeah,
and part of the reason it's forced to do that is it's building the catalyst over the fertilizer input, so only red can get there because there's already blue symbols there from building the catalyst.
Still, this is really fast. The jump is very big, and this is the first of a good solution, of a very good solution, let's say. So now we have Dariush.
Yeah, we see a little bit of a pile up now.
He had solutions with fun titles, and then his final solution has no title. I'm very sad. And what are we seeing here? We split cobalt. We have seen this already. We make calcium. Okay, and here we'll make 1 output. Are we making zirconium?
Yeah, so this is a neon catalyst solve, as we've seen previously.
Okay, yes.
The main difference is just more efficient pathing.
Yeah, this is very, very similar. It's just that he has it's neon catalyst, but it becomes calcium almost immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, this needs to go back and forth twice for each three inputs, but this is very compact, and both waldos do both jobs, because we see blue on the bottom left now, and when blue will come over, and then red will go on the bottom left, and this is what you were talking about, optimizing travel time by using both waldos. To do this, you need a crap ton of symbols.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So there's 4 jobs you need to do. You need to get 3 of the fertilizers to make outputs, and you need to do the nuclear math, and you need to split 2 to 1 water and 2 to the other to be efficient. And all jobs take similar-ish amounts of time if you plan it well.
Yeah, this is still quite complicated.
Yeah, and this is super complicated way of doing that. A lot of the complexity comes from making the catalyst without the fertilizer input, which they've decided to do, I assume, so they can quite easily send both orders up to the top left and not get in the way of where they're making the catalyst.
Definitely. And then once this is done, all these blocks are never used again, and you just see the pathing. Still, it's impressive. And there is a little bit of a pile up because we are gaining, but not that much. Even though this is a completely different approach from scandium catalyst to like neon catalyst.
Yeah.
Onwards to Tophot in 4th place. Is Russian staple catalyst. Can you guys get what catalyst is it gonna be? You see, this is xenon. Told you. But you just see it for a moment because it becomes thallium the round after.
It's just a intermediate to making a catalyst here rather than a recurring thing.
Yeah, but it filters for a few cycles because you don't just fuse into it immediately. So xenon.
Oh, okay, that. Sure.
And you can see the scandium catalyst.
Yeah.
Xenon, thallium. You see it very little because it gets fused into a carbon soon after, but you can easily tell you want to do thallium because thallium is morally for carbons. And how does it achieve the split?
It's just a flip-flop on red, I think.
Ah, okay, because...
Yeah, just that one.
Okay, because red goes up... Oh yeah, because red goes up not very often because it's busy on the bottom left. Get it? Yeah.
That's it, because red does drop always in the bottom and it goes up there. Red is it? Oh, no, it's a flip-flop on blue, sorry.
It's... Yeah, red always drops down, it's this flip-flop.
Yeah.
Because blue needs to... because blue does a lot of other stuff, like all the... Blue does essentially calcium handling, so it outputs very early, and when it outputs, it's the right moment to do the split. Okay.
On the 2 to 1, red's the 2, blue's the 1.
Yeah.
You need flip-flop on the 1, or it's easier to put the flip-flop on the 1, what everyone does.
Yep. So this is a scandium catalyst again, and Tophot get slightly faster than the neon catalyst. Then we get to Zig, 3rd place, and
yeah, top 3, nice job.
And this. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is kind of not using catalyst because this cleans up the mat by bonding down here.
So this is almost exactly the same fusion route or nuclear route as Gigs had all the way from the beginning. And when we said it looked efficient there, Zig has just optimized everything else as well.
Yeah. Like
fusion route where you make
if you want to follow the mat, this is you bring a lithium over, you split out to aluminium, and so this is the classic aluminium away and calcium out. And then you fuse again into aluminium and you get zirconium. Normally this is annoying because you have an extra lithium, but Zig bonds across the barrier and fixes this out. Yeah, and at this point you just clean up the calciums and it's done. Yeah, this is really well path optimized.
At this point you can't really say why it's better or worse than the things around it. It's just come out with slightly less halving and that you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, this becomes very hard. I guess that having zirconium, it's less splitting around, it's so less pathing, but this just comes down to micro optimization at this point. Like, the macro, we have already covered the macro ideas, like bring stuff over, try to fuse stuff in big bolts over in few passes. This already does this, so it gets hard to say why it's faster.
It takes slightly longer to do the nuclear stuff than the better solutions, but that it may have saved stuff elsewhere in the pathing.
Yeah,
I can't tell.
Now, instead of going to second place, I want to see some no-scoring solutions. And I think you will agree.
Yeah.
Because I want to look at this solution by Andy. Now, why I want to look at this solution by Andy? Because this scores better than Zix, and it's a fun solution. So you can already tell where we are headed with Andy's scores this round. So
Andy tried all the different common pathways.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've talked about a few methods. Andy did them all, and you know, in Andy's style, it does them in ways we have not seen them before. Like we've seen solution and bring stuff down. It's the first time we see this carbon bonded to silicon and then fused out. And so, what approach is this? This made scandium. It fuses beryllium into it. Okay, we have seen this. I don't remember who did this, but we have seen this already. We've pieces fused into a scandium output, and then so this works out, and then you can pull out a calcium. I don't remember who it was. I am sorry.
Might be Darius one.
Might be. Like we talked about the scandium catalyst for the first time in that solution, and that's. Why is this faster? And I guess it's about this handling right here, because this looks very, very efficient.
Very tight loops.
Yeah, this is very tight, and this just you bring it out, and then you know normally you have trouble because you need to fuse things, and then bonds break, and then you remake bonds. Like most solutions have some bonding over here. This doesn't, because it can dedicate a fuel fuser to this strategy because it saves so much time that it's worth it.
Yeah. Bringing everything in a big block obviously means you have to move it less.
Yeah, and then the calcium that comes out of the scandium is the extra one. How does it do the 5-to-1 split? Let's see.
It just comes out naturally.
Right, because here fusing piece by piece does the split naturally. So this would be third place. Now we will go to another fun solution, and this is Andy again, and this would again be third place, and this is the other method that makes aluminium, and this is even faster. So brings aluminium out, fuses and makes zirconium. We have seen this several times. And why is this faster? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like Zig's approach, really.
Yeah, it's just extremely tight. Like even here, it's very, very tight. Most solutions need to use this top row to get this stuff to fit. It doesn't. Yeah, this is just extremely tight. Rotates, splits out, and then leaves it just here, brings up the nitrogen, fuses, comes back, grabs this nitrogen, grabs this calcium, just leaves it back, and picks it back. Like everything is on the path. This is an impressive level of optimization. It's just impressive.
Very impressive.
Huh?
Very impressive.
And you know, we have talked at length about scandium being the superior method, and this is still a fun solution that scores 922. And now we move out of the fun solutions and go back to the main solutions. And so I leave you guys to guess what could be the first place, but second place is Gigigal with this solution, which does okay, we are clearly making a catalyst here.
This is the scandium catalyst, fuse 2 seeds into it, and then split that out into 3.
Okay, that's thallium. Yeah, we see it. Okay, so why is this very fast? I have no idea.
Very fast, just tighter pathing. It's got a
Yeah,
tighter
this is terrifying. Like, this is probably extremely tight pathing, and yeah, right here it brings down, it comes back, it goes up right, it comes back right, and then here it did all the catalyst building. I think what makes this fast is that it does the catalyst building on input alpha, but it still can use it for blue. Like, you know, we've seen it in a solution before where doing this building ruined this spot for blue, and he manages to squeeze everything in.
Yeah, they do lose a bit of time doing that, so the catalyst building is quite long, but
Yeah,
it's
but-
definitely worth it for the paths you save
Yeah, you know, this is
in the main loop.
yeah, you about the 9 cycles loop, you know, that usually you can make very big complex machines, but the typical output count doesn't let you do 50 cycles of initializations. This needs so many outputs that it's okay if you do 20 or even 30 cycles of initialization, because if you can spend a lot of time initializing, but you can then do this with blue, you are gonna win big time.
And on red, the path looks quite complicated to make the catalyst.
Oh, we
But
can
I
see
think-
it if you want.
I'm going to say GGGol submitted quite a lot of small improvements that I think were just improving the initialization, so I assume this must have come out to be the best way to do it.
Yeah, this seems complex, you know, because you would want to use flip-flops, but it's different each time. You fuse here, this is an input alpha, this is an input beta, another input alpha, now you grab, now you rotate. Like, you could do this with many less symbols, but I imagine you'd lose a few cycles, because you are not ready here with your next input. If you just do some cycle here, then you grab. So I assume, we could check his submission history, but I assume this got more and more complicated as he tried to merge it with the first input handling. And then after catalyst building, red never goes back to the bottom of the reactor. Yeah, okay, this it goes to the bottom, but it really doesn't.
When I was taking notes on the solutions, the one thing I thought that this did better than the similar solutions we've seen before is just how fast it makes what element is it? Element 81 in the bottom light on that very tight the blue loop.
Yeah, this is very tight, of course. One should. Yeah, most solutions
very,
need to
very
use this square as well for blue, and this is very tight. And but this is very tight as well. Like this is the only solution with this. They just bring down and then it picks up stuff. That's kind of impressive. And this is, I mean, we haven't commented on botnet strategies because there is so much to comment. But this is the same botnet strategy we have seen Andy employ, where you will bring this one, the calcium in, rotate, comes back and bond, and this is the most efficient bonding strategy.
I think pretty much all the top solutions
Yeah.
do this.
Some other solution bond by going up and then left, and that wastes more space.
Yeah, if you go up, then left. Oh, go up, then left. Sorry, if you go up, then right, you can't put it in the bottom input because of the shape of the walls. So you've got to make those flat flat.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is fairly clearly the easiest way to do that, or the fastest way.
Yeah. So congratulations DigiGoal, and this was the top solution for I think 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
But you know, for some reason Andy doesn't like submitting until like 10 minutes before the deadline. I guess it's to keep suspense for odds. This gets below 1000 cycle. We have already seen Andy's solution get below. This is faster than all the non-scoring submissions by Andy we have seen. And this was a winning solve, and he had a 930, 920 I think, and then it settled on the 900 flat. And then, I don't know, like 5 hours ago, Andy submitted everything, which included this. And this is Candium, right? at least if I remember it correctly.
No, it's not scandium, it's calcium catalyst. Oh no, not calcium.
Right, this is calcium. This does something that no one else did. This has mercury.
This makes it makes the calcium catalyst in much the same way that other solutions are just making calcium to output.
Yeah.
And
So
what this does that makes it really, really fast, or one of the many things it does, is have those two fusers basically over the beta input, so it can make that catalyst, make that element 80 super quickly.
yes, this is by an extreme. This is by a gigantic margin the fastest solution posted, and like we see the catalyst building again. This is of course some ad hoc looping, and there is waste around, but this is fine because after this initialization this runs forever. And this is the only one of the top solutions to have, let's call them garbage balls. Now it's fine to call them garbage balls, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so why is this so fast? Like gggoal, what jumps to my mind that the stuff you want is on your path. Like here you have this is on your path because you're going from here to here, but then this is on your path and this is on your path. While many other solutions, split the catalyst here and then go split it up here. This is everything on path. This is extremely fast.
Another oddity about the solution, I don't know how it impacts the speed, it must have just worked out the nicest way to do it, is that Andy decides not to do the flip-flop handling to make the 6-to-1 split on the path that triggers once, which is just a single flip-flop. Instead they use a 4 counter on the path that goes around twice to do it, and somehow that's faster.
I have no idea. I see it, but I have no idea. It
worked out. I guess it's because blue is doing less overall, and it gives the extra pathing on blue means that red can be quicker on its loop of doing stuff.
Yeah, I guess it works out the way that you have choose luck on blue and do not have choose luck on red.
Yeah.
It is something you see while iterating on a solution.
Yeah, it's extremely efficient job balancing. Both orders are doing stuff all the time.
Yeah, because you have blue doing 2 outputs and then also the flip-flop ending, which wastes 2 cycles probably, and red doing the input and then another output. Yeah. Man, congratulations.
Well considered solution. It must have taken quite a lot of iteration to get down to something like this.
Yeah, man, please submit earlier. Please, we need to look at this stuff and understand what it does. This is 700 cycles. 700 cycles, like severely compressing the rating scale. It was very, very nice for a cycle puzzle up until gggoal was first place, because the top 10 had like 6 points, which was really nice, and then this curved down again the whole field, so much that now to get 6 points you need 6th place. So Andy, congratulations.
Make you feel I should have added to the metric, reverse curved it. When I was looking at this puzzle, I thought the best solution is going to be 850 was my guess, and Andy beat that by quite a long way.
Yeah, curving this is kind of hard. I guess the way you can curve this is to raise it to a compressing power. So say instead of cycles, you have cycles raise it to the 0.8. This compresses.
Yeah.
But this is much safer than adding, because when you add, you are saying there is a cycle scale and I know it. Like say you add 100 and it turns out this puzzle is doable in 300, you are distorting the whole scale. And so
Yeah.
if you want to just compress the scale, right, raise it to 0.8, 0.7, and that would have compressed it. This one is harsh, but you know, this solution is much better than the Wallfield has. Congratulations again. I think we have a couple fun solves to share. When is your test solved? This one?
Test solve, this is really just to show you what I was thinking when I made the puzzle. It's a beryllium out.
Okay, so this,
an approach we've seen before.
yeah,
but
this is Ziggs,
it was
for example.
most efficient to do that until Andy submitted his fun solves.
Isn't this Ziggs?
Zig doesn't do this.
Ah, okay, because it's similar with this bottom lithium, and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good
More like
solution.
Andy's second fun solve.
This is a good solution, by the way, because this would be 5th place. So congratulations, you. This is solid. And then we have a single Waldo solution in yellow bunny tradition. And of course, if you go for simplicity, you want to go for input alpha only. Yeah, this makes sense. And for a shit ton of flip-flops.
It's like, as is often the case, it's like the same algorithm as the scoring solve, but single.
Yeah, see, this is doing this in a Waldo is pretty impressive.
Did they get the balancing as well? I haven't looked at it.
I think so, because I see 1 and 4. You see these many flip-flops.
No,
These are for
yeah.
balancing. I really wanted to see this blue just doing a shit ton of running around and hitting an output C at the last output, but he didn't do that. And we're done. So, any closing remarks?
Not really.
Okay. We have some people here in the Discord. You guys want to say hi? You are also shy. And at this point, I think...
Just a lazy comment.
At this point, I think we can introduce next week puzzle, if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So, just a moment, because my computer does what it can, and please don't die, please don't die, please don't die, stay with me. Okay, I need to copy the puzzle code and I import it. Okay, as its synthesis. Now, for the question we all have, how did you get 4 outputs?
How did I get 4 outputs? It's just a feature of the Community Edition production editor.
In the Community Edition production editor, you can have as many outputs as you want, and as many inputs as you want. There is no limit of 3 like in the vanilla productions. And so, this is a thing.
The idea of this puzzle is that you're not making particularly complex outputs, but you are making 4 of them, and only in 4 reactors. So the puzzle is intended to be more about how you design the solution kind of on the macro level of finding an efficient way to get all the atoms where they need to go to make the 4 outputs in the right pipes.
The metric for this is symbols and times with a tie break of cycles. So get some tight stuff. You have some interesting sensors given, because we have 4 here and 2 here. So I'm looking forward to see what people can do in a reactor like this using 4 sensors, and if there is something that if there is some algorithm that benefits from having more than 2.
Originally, when I designed this puzzle, it had 3 reactors and half the number of sensors, but it was way too hard, so I doubled the sensors and gave you 1 more reactor.
I mean,
And it made it a lot easier.
I mean, Simple Solution will still want to explore how does it go with 3 reactors, and see if it's worth it. And yeah, I think you did well not to add a reactor penalty, otherwise this would have been gruesome.
It would have been horrible with 2. I considered adding a penalty that was like...
It would be something like this, that, like you can do this, but being forced to do this, it's not fun.
Yeah, so I considered making the penalty not forcing you to do it with 2, but basically forcing you to do it with 3, and it was still too hard. So...
Okay, so guys, try 4 before you try 3.
Yes.
So,
as a fun job, I want to see a 2 reactor solution though.
Is it possible to do a 2 reactor solution? I mean, yes,
Yeah,
technically.
You got nuclear stuff.
Yes, that's super fun. Like really fun. I can just see myself like ammonia is not super bad, but carbon dioxide.
And no waste allowed because you got to use all your output pipes.
My God. Guys, don't do a 2 reactor solution. There are better.
For a hydrogen grinder.
Sorry?
You're just asking for a hydrogen grinder at that point.
For him?
Hydrogen grinders are harder than you think they are. Always, or harder than I always think they are.
Well, you've got sensors.
I've always struggled every time I thought hydrogen grinder has not worked. But I never tried to do something like this in 2 reactors.
Yeah, guys, don't do this in 2 reactors.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't.
even if it's possible, there are more interesting things you can do. You can do with your time. And I think it's all for this week. I close up the stream. I close up the registration, and see you guys for the results of next week, which are conveniently next week. Bye.